Good morning. My name is Salima, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the CA Capacity Management Global User Community Webcast. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. If you should need assistance during the call, please press star then 0, and an operator will come back online to assist you. Thank you. Mr. Lundy, you may begin the conference call.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome aboard to our Capacity Management User Community Webcast. I'm Jim Lundy, President of this Global User Community. Today, we have with us product managers Mike Zhang and Paul Peterson, who will be presenting on the following topics. CCC VPM 2.2, Capacity Manager 5.2, new features and demo. We have the Poas Release marquee feature overview, the SCOM Hyper-V community validation program, and some Q&A. During this presentation, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A area and not the chat, and we'll get to you and address that. And with that in mind, I'd like to turn it over to Mike. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. And again, welcome to the community, user community webcast for capacity management. Just a little plug here. We're still inviting folks in the community to join the board members. We have Jim as our president, and we need more volunteers to get this board, get this community active. So if you are interested, please send an email to either Mary or Jim Lundy on this list. All right. So as Jim mentioned today, if we can get to the next slide.
It's Mike. It's the next tab.
Oh, it's the next tab.
Next tab over at the top. Yes.
Oh, here we go. So Paul and I will present today's webcast, and you've seen this agenda already. So we'll jump right to it. As you know, we just released the Capacity Command Center, CCC, and the Virtual Placement Manager, VPM 2.2 in June timeframe. So you probably have seen these highlighted features before, but just to reiterate, it has mainframe features, modeling support in Capacity Manager 5.2. The June release is really a portfolio release. It contains both CCC VPM 2.2 and the Capacity Manager 5.2. So in the Capacity Manager 5.2 release, we added more than 150 mainframe models, and also the ability to do end-to-end modeling, including mainframe. We'll talk a little bit more about what's behind that claim. There are some caveats because it's the first time we introduce mainframe support. Public cloud sizing is another interesting features we introduced as folks, especially in large enterprise, are moving to a hybrid cloud environment. So this feature will help customers to size their cloud requirements when they move workload from their on-premise application into the cloud. Some back-end integration coverage on the CA Infrastructure Manager 2.2 support, and also Microsoft SCOM integration is also in the June release. So that should help customers have more coverage on the back end. Project template support is an extension to our hypothetical workload-based analytical functionality. It will give customers the ability to group workloads together. And last but not least, we made some nice performance and scalability improvement in the June release on the CCC VPM side. It supports Oracle partitioning and HTML5 and GXE3L. So drill down a little bit on the public cloud sizing support. With this offering, we benchmarked some of the major cloud vendors out there, including Amazon, EC2, Terramark, Sardis, and Rackspace, and Microsoft Azure. So it will help customers, especially large enterprise, trying to gauge what type of cloud offerings is best for them from both capacity and cost perspective. So the screenshot is a little bit small here, but the top one gives you the idea about what type of cloud offerings we have benchmarked and their relative resource score. And the middle one, it's probably hard to read on the screen here, give you the idea about the building VM and host templates related to those cloud offerings. For example, the typical Amazon offerings may be a 2 virtual CPU and 4 gig memory. So we pre-benchmarked those offerings and calculated the relative resource score and put that in the template for you to use. And the bottom screenshot gives you an idea about what type of placement results you can get by using the cloud as a hypothetical destination. In this case, it also gives you the relative cost indicator as a dollar per hour number here for you to compare different offerings from different cloud vendors. So this is a very nice added feature to the CCC VPM. Hope you can leverage those in your journey to the cloud. Project templates, as alluded to before, is a nice extension of our hypothetical workload forecast and capacity reservation epic. So in this case, we give customer the ability to group a set of workloads together to represent a future project. For example, you might have an online check deposit application that needs to go live, and it involves multiple tiers, and you want to be able to define the workload for each tier, but group all the tiers together as a project from capacity reservation perspective. So this project template gives you the ability to do that. And we also added the capability to assign the project start time and end time associated with your project in order to be included in the virtual placement analysis. So as you can see on the bottom of the screenshot here, the planned workload is showing as a yellow on the placement replay chart, and it will give you an indication whether you have enough capacity in your existing infrastructure or not to deal with future projects. This is a mainframe, initial mainframe modeling support feature in Capacity Manager 5.2. We added more than 150 mainframe models in this case. The typical use case is for a distributed application with a back-end mainframe, for example, running on a DB2 database on one of the L parts. So it's not geared towards a mainframe capacity planning use case per se. Because most mainframe capacity planners have their own tool. This is really helping customers on the distributed side doing capacity planning to have a discussion with their mainframe counterpart if their application happens to have a mainframe backend. So we did our we did our modeling, hardware modeling support on the mainframe side, added that. There's some caveats on the bottom you should be aware. Right here, we're talking about mainframe TPPs. They're actually Mips. They're not TPP resource score. So there's some labeling change we can add later on. And the second caveat is that we don't have an existing mainframe data adapter in place yet. However, we understand on the mainframe side, there are a very rich, comprehensive set of data we can tap into, whether it's IMF or SMF or it's SAS data. So from each customer, the requirement might be different. So we have proposed as a service engagement, we can help customers to identify the right data set to pull in and using a customer DA data adapter as a solution to pull the data in. So be aware that if you are interested in this feature, most likely we'll start with a customer data adapter in a service engagement. Another caveat here is we only support GPU, generic processor only for mainframe at this time. Z-Linux, IFLs, and zips and zaps will be supported later. It's not currently available yet. Last but not least, it's a separate chargeable SKU for the mainframe support. So that is a quick overview about mainframe. Now I'm going to turn the presentation to Paul Peterson, who will go through some real product demo, focusing on the highlighted feature here. So Paul, are you online?
I am. Thanks, Mike.
Okay. So I just make you a presenter, and you should be able to share your application.
Okay. Just loading up something here. Share. All right, so I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna show 3 of the major items that Mike talked about today. I'm gonna show a little bit of Capacity Manager and some of the mainframe type capability that he was just discussing, and then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna show you some of the details within CCC and VPM for the public cloud content as well as the project side of the house. So. For those of you that are Capacity Manager users, you'll recognize this. This is a point in the product where you've gone through and you've created your base model. I've created a couple of scenarios here to how you incorporate and leverage a set of mainframe data supporting this environment. So basically, in this scenario, you've got a distributed portion of the infrastructure as well as a mainframe portion of the infrastructure. So you can see here there's a bunch of distributed systems. It could be regular virtual systems and so on. And what we do for the mainframe portion of this, you would have pulled in mainframe performance data, be it RMF type information like Mike had said. RMF is kind of roughly the equivalent of SAR or perfmon data on the distributed side of the house or NMON. And you bring that across, and there are equivalents for CA's Mix product has a way to get its data out. You might have tailored decision support or CA's SysView. It could be information coming out of BMC, whatever it might be. We basically are looking for the equivalent type of information that we would get for a virtual environment, such as VMware or AIX. And that is, in fact, how we're modeling this. So we're modeling the ZOS portion of this. We're seeing the LPARs. Mainframe is actually the first place where there was a virtual environment, if you go back far enough, for those of you that I know have that experience. But that's how we've chosen to implement this. So we've got a number of hardware models, such as the Z10 that I'm showing here. We've got 3 different ZOS hypervisors or VMMs that we've included in here as well, and that's really how we're modeling this environment. So we see it just like a VMware infrastructure, if you will. We're using our VMM hypervisor layer to model the scalability of these things, and then we also have the hardware. But that's basically what we're doing. So we're doing a system-level analysis of these environments. You can see all the LPARs that are on this particular case, and what you can see here, there's a base configuration we just looked at. We can see all of the different physical machines that are involved. We can see the frame environment, and we can actually see the different LPARs that are in here. In this case, for the data source that I have as a background, we only had CPU and memory information, but you can see the source. And since I'm looking at that one, because we've defined workloads that correspond to the data that comes from the different sources, it makes sense that I can only see my mainframe work because I've selected the mainframe frame. If I was back over here on some of the other ones, I'll only be able to see the things that are coming from the distributed portion of the infrastructure. So the net effect is that you're able to piece together an end-to-end view of your environment. In this case, we had a web application, middleware, and database on the back end that was providing content. And we can model the impact of change to the LPARs as we look at growth and change scenarios. So it could be that this system is supporting a an online banking system. It could be that it is a storefront for a general merchandise type customer, or a telco that's got an order entry process for handsets. Whatever your process is, typically somewhere in there in the back end is going to be a mainframe. And if you think you have a marketing campaign, for example, it's going to be for a Black Friday, or if it's for a football game, whatever it might be, and you want to understand what the impact's going to be, you can go through and model growth, and you do growth and change scenarios just like you've always done, but now you have the ability to, you've partitioned and you show the work that's happening on that particular tier, and you do a growth and change scenario on it, which is what we did in this next one. So we actually went through and did, if I go through and I look at this one, we did a variety of different growth scenarios for that particular environment. So I went through and let's see here. So there was 0 on that one. Actually back up here. So if we look at some of these other ones, we actually have a growth rate coming in. So in this case, 5% growth per month, and that's causing actually an impact in the overall environment that causes us to have to do a web server upgrade. So this is traditional growth and change modeling within the product. Then we want to come in, we want to understand, okay, if I change and I want to look at the mainframe, I've got a workload that's in there. I can grow that workload in our variety of approaches as well. I can do variable, I can do fixed. And that's where you begin to understand, okay, what's the impact going to be for my mainframe portion of the overall infrastructure based on that growth scenario. So here you can see at the mainframe, at the overall frame level, where we expect growth. And you can also, here you can see we're breaking down by workload. I could actually also do it by VM, and I can see what's going on in those types of things. So I can also go and look in here by LPAR and see what's going on for that particular approach. So, a very natural extension to what we do within Capacity Manager today. This is based off of a Mips benchmark. So as Mike had highlighted, there is no way to do a translation right now. So we've actually put guardrails in to block you from doing a configuration change scenario to move work off and on the mainframe from distributed or vice versa, because we do not have a translation that will take us from Mips to spec. So that is something that we're considering. If you are interested in doing something with the mainframe capability, Mike and I would love to hear from you. If you're interested in doing things on the Z-Linux front, or you want to do understand, your company is looking at moving things off and on the mainframe, we might certainly have an opportunity to partner with you to help us kind of put that translation benchmark in place. So just to give you a sense of what that looks like. And of course, all of the visualizer reports are in place here as well. So with that, I'll skip off the Capacity Manager stuff, and we'll go and we'll look at what the new public cloud stuff and the project content looks like within CCC and VPM. So to start with, in the CML, if you've looked in there before, you'll recognize that there was a few things already available. And to be candid, they actually slipped into the product inadvertently. So, if you had tried to do something with either Amazon or Rackspace or some of these other ones, you would have found that it didn't quite work right. And in part, that's because these models are the ones that we had made previously available for Optimizer and Capacity Manager. And, we went through and we basically had them looking like physical servers. So what you'll see in this release is that we've marked them as obsolete. So we're using this kind of concatenation or prepending on the model name where we go ZZZ obsolete. And you'll see there's quite a bit of difference in some of these definitions. And the difference is that we're modeling, we now have created the equivalent of a what's called a cloud host or public cloud host. And we've done an additional set of benchmarking that helps us drive things and understand. We have a base CML model, we have host templates, and we have VM templates, so Mike mentioned, that allow us to let you do an actual full-blown VPM placement and hypothetical exercise. So we basically are obsoleting the old ones. We haven't deleted them yet. We weren't sure how many people actually might have models that were using that so far. So we want to introduce the new approach here and in a future release, we'll actually delete these obsolete ones. But you'll be able to see, if you want to go look for Amazon, all you need to do is type in, some version of Amazon in the filter here, and you'll see both the obsolete ones and the new ones for the CML. If you want to go look at some of the others, all you need to do is type in pub. If you put public in there, or public in there, you'll be able to see the new ones. So there's quite a few less models that are in there, but through this benchmarking exercise, and we'll continue to expand these. There are other zones and regions for many of these vendors. So if you are using this and you're interested in content from different areas of their offerings, let us know, and we can add them. And we are looking at, these are the tier 1 kind of vendors. We'll be adding more over time. So if you've got other cloud vendors that you're considering, please let us know and we can get them in. Just to call out, you can see a difference between, and this is why it's important, is that depending on what you're purchasing from those vendors, the underlying horsepower is different, and our benchmarking has proven this out. So, the difference between the first generation and the second generation of the Rackspace cloud within their Chicago data center, you can see there's quite a variety of difference in the underlying horsepower for those environments. So we're able to see that and give you some assurance as you look at determining what performance you might be able to get from those environments. You can see that variety. So it makes sense, right? They've been going through different generations of deployment. They have hardware under those environments just like you all do in your environments, and those things vary over time. So we have seen that there's a lot of variability in the different places that are out there. So that's the CML side. What does it look like in VPM? So in VPM, there's the follow-on host templates. Right, so we use those. The host templates are your destinations when you do a placement exercise. So we've added in the corresponding host templates for you to use that. And we also, so that's for both Amazon, you can see we've got Azure, Rackspace, Savvis, and Terramark. Some of them have more combos than others based on what their offerings are. And we also have, as Mike had highlighted, additions to the VM templates capability. So you can see here, Amazon has quite a large variety of different templates or EC2 instance types that you can purchase. So we have those in here. They're predefined, and we're including their per hour cost. And it was a point-in-time statement, so I think just in the last week or two, Amazon has changed its prices. So as we look to go forward with updates, we'll change that. But it was a point-in-time pricing based on what was publicly available on their website for how they're doing it. So we'll be incorporating this into our process for our model library as we go forward. I think you can see it kind of goes without saying is that as the market changes and more cloud vendors are being used more regularly by customers, our model library needs to change as well. So we are getting requests for these types of things. It is where the market's going. So we're evolving to make sure that we can keep up with customers that are adopting hybrid cloud infrastructure. So our model library has to change to support the evolution in the market to these vendors. So you can see that here as we add these and move forward. So there's the Azure ones, Rackspace, Savvis, and Symphony are in here. One of the outcomes of this exercise is that we've recognized that in the placement template, placement definition, that we had a pretty small window, and actually when Mike starts to talk about the upcoming release, we're restructuring the placement definition clean screen a fair bit. But in the 2.2 release, we added a filtering capability so you can shrink down and see. There's quite a few templates in this list now. So there's a new filtering capability to help streamline that while we look at the restructuring of this screen. So that's another little tidbit that's in there, is that we now have that new filter capability to support that. All right, so those are the virtual machine templates. We have that in there. Just to show what that looks like, I actually went through, it comes through here. So I went through from a placement template perspective. I actually have a number of different scenarios that I've laid out, one for a Terramark cloud sizing exercise, and then also for our new project capability. But I've basically gone through and I've created a Rackspace exercise, a Terramark exercise. And if I go in and look at I basically have taken about 160 different VMs that I'm using as a sample here to say, what would it look like if I moved these guys into the Terramark cloud? So I actually went through and selected the variety of different available Windows instances for this vendor, and I actually went through. So you can see here I've got Terramark Public Cloud as my destination for a host. Same thing. I also have the Terramark VMM selected, and I'm going into a hypothetical cluster. I went through, did my placement, and you see here that it's not so much important for you to know how many hosts that you need, but it does give you the overarching capacity and consumption from a resource score perspective. You can see they're new, right? We're doing a hypothetical exercise, but you can see really what your score and your capacity are, as well as we're providing you know, here, what are the templates that you need, right? So the original cores, where you come from, where you're going, what's the right size of template to meet those needs. And we also summarize the cost here. So, you know, in this case, it's an hourly cost. So moving these 156 servers up into the Terramark cloud is going to cost you about $7 an hour. Giving you the average cost, those types of things. So giving some power back to you guys to understand what it looks like to move some of your work going forward. Last thing I wanted to quickly go through, might keep me on track for time here, but again, is these concepts of project templates. So we've got quite a few customers that are coming forward. They have a variety of different approaches for their very large infrastructures. You know, we've heard people talk about concepts aligned with airplane seat booking or hotel reservations, right? Reserved rooms versus occupied rooms, and they're applying those concepts against their infrastructure. And that could be for projects that are coming down the pike. It could be for new customers that you want to unload or onboard into an environment. You need to plan and reserve capacity for them. As you know, we've had this kind of cumulative change modeling capability within Capacity Manager for quite some time. So it's kind of an evolution of that, if you will, and we've incorporated it initially here into VPM. We also have thoughts here on how we can just show this on the straight up CCC side, but we've incorporated and tied together workload templates in a concept of a project, so you can define the quantity. You know, you can either take a cloned instance of your workload templates that we provided last time or last release, or you can define an absolute capacity value that, you know, you don't necessarily know what the how much capacity you need for that environment. So you can either clone an existing one or define an absolute capacity. So this is your hypothetical work. You can put reservation start date and go live dates in here. So, you know, in our interviews, the process is, okay, I, the capacity planner, am working with the application team. Their planned go live date is in 6 months, but you may want to start reserving capacity and showing that's reserved capacity immediately. So we have a distinction between when we start the reservation, so think of that like your booked hotel room, to when you're actually going to be going live with that system where it's occupied. And we age out automatically. You know, if you have a go live date in here, when you kind of run through your models, the reservation will automatically expire based on your go live date. So it's a little bit of automation in that process as well. So in this case, I've got 10 web servers, 5 app servers, you know, a few things, maybe a database server, and I've created them as a project. Then I can go through. Oops, sorry, I want to go look at my placement templates. I've created a project called my project rollout reservation, and I want to go edit this guy. So I actually have taken that project that corresponded to those defined workloads, and I'm applying it against an existing environment. In this case, I'm putting it into this cluster B26. Everything else is the same, right? So I've predefined all those things I go solve. I've now got it into my environment. So So finish in just a second here. And you can take combinations of straight up servers, workload templates, and projects and put them in. You can also put them into a hypothetical cluster as well. But go through here and see the result of this exercise is that I now have a combination of an optimized destination cluster that incorporates my new planned capacity. So you can see how that works, where you want to put it into a cluster and see what would it look like for this environment based on the reserved capacity. And you can add multiple projects, right? So you can begin to understand how that all comes together over time. So we continue to work through this use case. With that, I'll maybe pass on to Mike. Mike, I'll pass it back to you, and you can touch on some of the enhancements that we have planned for the upcoming release that continue to simplify, improve on this process, and expand new capability. So with that, I will pass back to Mike. And thank you all for your time, and look forward to some questions after Mike gets through some of the next content.
All right. Thank you, Paul, for the excellent demo. Now we're up for a quick polling question. I think, Mary, I don't know. Yep, here we go. You have some time to take a look at these two polling questions related to a mainframe and a public cloud rollout. So if you have any expecting projects in your company, and let's just do a quick poll. Have 20 seconds left. So while we're waiting for the polling results to come in, I'll start to talk about our next release. So from a capacity management product roadmap perspective, we usually have 6 months cadence. So we just released our combo product in June timeframe. So the next release is planned for around the Thanksgiving and the December timeframe. So that is codenamed Poas. That's why you see that release name gets mentioned on the agenda. So that is the release that will continue to focus on the capacity management long-term strategy, which is our 5-pillared strategy, focusing on the usability improvement and the performance enhancement have started in the previous 2 releases, and also expand the back-end coverage. For example, on the SCOM data adapter, I know there are several large customers, some of them on the call today, that are interested in deploying them in the Hyper-V environment. So we touched on, we'll make enhancement on that, add Hyper-V support to the SCOM data adapter, and hopefully we can release that earlier than the November timeframe, because the way we package the solution kit is separate from the base capacity command center, the virtual placement manager. So the SCOM data adapter can be updated and released separately, hopefully very soon. And I'll talk a little bit more later in this webcast describing the new procedure we intend to roll out to support customer validation using the community website. And some other theme in our long-term strategy is to continue to expand our analytics functionality. For example, the project reservation and the hypothetical capacity reservation we started will definitely continue on that front as well. So I think the polling time has expired. And Mary, how do we see polling results real quick, just so the participants know? Okay, here we go. Looks like there's half of the people responded. There's definitely a large number of interest in the mainframe backend, distributed capacity planning fashion. And there's not yet. It looks like, at least for this crowd, folks are not. Yep, are not ready to move to the probably not yet, but thinking in the next 12 months. to move to a hybrid cloud environment. But it's good to know. It's always good to have some reading with a live audience to see where we are. Okay, so let's move on to the roadmap discussion. So if folks have attended the CA World, this hasn't changed too much. We presented this roadmap back at CA World. So we shuffle things around. The gray portion are the things that's already released in the past 12 months. The CCC 2.2 release, we just talked about that, was GA'd around June timeframe. And right after that, we have introduced a smaller update to the VMware Solution Kit data adapter. We added the VMware event data and optimized some of the data store queries. So that data adapter should be available on the CA support website already. I think we released that 3 weeks ago, maybe. Moving forward, this is the Poas release around November or December timeframe on our roadmap. The first feature, obviously, is the SCOM data adapter, as I alluded to before. The Hyper-V support will be introduced. And as a separate data adapter, we have the flexibility to release that early whenever it's available. And I'll talk about that in the custom validation portion of this webcast. With the SCOM data adapter pulling Hyper-V information, you can perform hypothetical analysis on the placement and balancing side with Hyper-V data. So we already have Hyper-V support as a hypothetical destination. For example, you can do what-if analysis if you move a VMware workload into a Hyper-V environment. What type of placement is optimized for you? So you can do that today. Then with Hyper-V as a data source support, we can do an end-to-end placement analysis. So the second feature will cover that, especially if you have a migration plan between the VMware vCenter and Hyper-V. This will help you to gauge the efficiency of the new environment, also help plan out the next phase of rollout. Usability enhancement is umbrella under which we'll introduce a set of UI improvements. We understand some of the UIs within the current product is probably geared towards expert. We'll try to streamline the flow and add more summary-based information into the product. So gives help with the general look and feel of the UI. So that falls into that category. Automated workload growth is a marquee feature we are working on right now. It will give customers the ability to see the building trend of their existing workload into the future in the CCC resource flow chart, and also potentially overlay the future project reservation capacity on that same chart to understand what their underlying infrastructure will look like in terms of capacity 6 months from now and 12 months from now, both supporting the existing workload growth and also from future incoming project perspective. So that falls into the automated workload growth category. And project reservation is just a continuous improvement of our existing project reservation capability to add a start date and end date awareness into some of the placement exercise, and also break down the individual projects as a category in the virtual placement replay charts. So that is our marquee features or epics for the Poas release around November and December timeframe. And again, some of the features like Hyper-V support can be released earlier. And right now we're looking at, definitely looking at the early date given the development schedule. Moving out around June next year, we're planning another release called Now. In that release, currently we have a set of features listed out here, including space efficiency, trying to help customer do more roll-up, longer coarse-granular based roll-up, for example, on a weekly or monthly basis, and also help customer with the more efficient purge flexibility on the purge side. So longer-term, older data can be purged automatically based on your policy. CML mapping automation is a way to help customer automate some of the mapping exercise from their existing infrastructure to the component model library. And the UI convergence is just a placeholder for consolidating some of our various UIs, especially on the reporting side, into a single interface using CA's UI service platform. With that, we're also going to add role-based access control, RBAC support into the product. Storage is one of our strategic focus, so we'll definitely make more improvement on that. Today, we have throughput-based information with storage in the VPM exercise, and with the storage-aware placement and balancing, we hope to add capacity-based information into that consideration as well. And group management is a feature we heard a lot from customers. Today, we have a way to show resource score in aggregate from group perspective. The group management is just another placeholder for us to give more flexibility for customer to create groups dynamically and manage them from the UI so they can report capacity along the service line or along the application line. And we'll make continuous improvement on the data adapter side, especially covering the infrastructure management and APM, CA's APM product. So that is a quick sneak preview of the 2 upcoming releases in the next 12 months on the capacity management roadmap. I'll move quickly to the last section of the webcast. As I alluded to before, we want to start to leverage the community more for the customer validation. Previously, we run official beta program, which is more heavy duty. We understand there are other CA products that have already existing very good track record of leveraging community customer input very early through this community-based customer validation program. So the first candidate we're going to leverage this route is SCOM Solution Kit 2.0. It will include the Hyper-V support. The launch date probably is around the beginning of August if everything goes smoothly. So August 5th, we're going to make the solution kit available in a restricted site on the community website. Because we're test driving this approach, we're going to do a little bit hand-holding in the first exercise. So please, if you are interested in participating in this validation, send me an email. I have my email address listed out here. And I understand there's some early interest already, so we'll take that into account. But if you do have a Hyper-V environment running SCOM, please send me an email, and we can discuss offline how you can participate. The time is really around, the starting time is around August 5th, and we might run 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the participation rate of this community. So with that, I'll show the last slide, which is the collaterals available to our external customers on the CA website related to capacity management. Our marketing, product marketing manager, Jeremy Rostak, put together a very nice slide here. It's almost like a single place for all the nice collaterals available for capacity management from external sites. So you can find the product demos, the link to the existing website, customer success stories, and white papers right in a single place from this link. So a very good portal for capacity management resources. So with that, I open it up to questions and answers. If you have any questions, I think you can unmute your line, and we'll address them right here. Or you can send in your questions through the Q&A session. Yeah.
So, Mike, there's one question so far in the Q&A section from Alkin here in CA. So, Alkin, your question, I'm not sure, I think everybody can see it, but will the Amazon EC2 configuration also make recommendations on when to use the reserved instance types versus the on-demand instances. We only have the on-demand instances in the library today, Alkan. So let's have a follow-on chat. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about why you guys are looking at the different usage approaches, and we can go from there. It may just be that we can add in the reserved instance types to the library to cover that one. And right now it would be just two different scenarios. We don't have a way to solve for across the different types. So let's have a chat on that one. In the short term, it might just be simple for us to add the reserve types, but we can go forward from there. So is that it? I think if the numbers are all, or if the lines are all active, does that make sense? I'm not sure if you're still there. If not, I'll follow up with Elkin.
Yeah, thank you, Paul.
One other thing I was going to say, Mike, we talk about the major features, both in the release that just came out, as well as where we're going. There's a number of things in the releases that, if you go look at the release notes, obviously, we've addressed a number of defects and smaller enhancements that weren't listed on there. For example, in the current release, we're updating and enhancing some of the project template outputs, separate from the overarching major marquee feature that Mike highlighted for the project templates. We've actually been doing already a set of usability improvements on splitting out some of the project template. We've overloaded some of the fields there, so those are now split out into a couple of different fields. So we'll likely also be starting to do some reviews with you all on the rest of the Poas release too. So if there's other things that are in here over and above the things that are at the high level marquee features. We have another question from Noel. Have you considered allowing customers to add private cloud capabilities? If I understand your question, Noel, is there a way for you, the user, to create your own cloud configurations? And I'm going to guess a little bit on where you're coming from, but I think the answer is yes, because you can create your own host templates that would correspond to whatever the configuration is that you are using for your private cloud environment. So if you're building on top of some set of IBM hardware or Dell hardware or whatever it might be, you can actually use the converged compute template capability to create a configuration that would correspond to your underlying cloud host. Use the appropriate VM template, the appropriate VMM for that environment, be it VMware or AIX, or because you can do this with AIX as well. And then also create your standard VM templates that are in there. So I believe the answer is going to be yes, because we built the flexibility and for you to create your own individual components at both the host template level, the converged compute level, which is really a group of hosts kind of configuration, and then also at the VM template level. So I hope that answers the question. If not, please feel free to follow up and we can have an add-on chat on that one. Are we not able to get voice in?
Well, only people who dialed into the audio at the beginning of the conference, who used the operator link, can use voice. Okay.
All right. No, we can follow on that one too. If I did not answer your question sufficiently, please drop me a quick email and we can set something up.
All right, thank you, Paul. I believe that is definitely the right context, because most companies interested in private cloud want to build a standard offering. So when you build your standard offering, the first thing you do is to choose the right host set, and from there, the host template can help you to do that. Then carve out the standard VM offerings, and obviously based on the hypervisor type of your choice. So we do have the existing flexibility in the product today to help you go through that process. All right, last polling question on the screen. Please give us a candid feedback and also help us to improve the webcast later on. If you have any interesting topics, you can send them to either Mary or Jim, who is our chairman of the board, and we'll incorporate the feedback in future webcasts to have it, make it better.
Hey, Mike, I do have another question from Jim, actually. It's under the private chat around the upcoming CCR release. We didn't touch on that here. Yeah. So he's just asking. So yes, we do have an updated CCR. Actually, Mike, you know the content better than I do, so I'll defer to you. But we do have a 1.4 coming out for CCR in the next little while here. Go ahead.
Correct. So yes, we do have updated the release on the CCR side very soon. If you remember, back in June, we released CCC VPM update and Capacity Management update. The CCR was postponed a little bit because we're finishing up adding several new reports into the current capacity reporter. The 1.4 release is planned somewhere in August at this time. It will contain a set of reports that will help you diagnose the CCC VPM environment. It will also have a separate set of reports related to the APM product. So yep, rest assured it's coming, and it's coming soon.
Thank you.
All right, I think that probably that will probably conclude today's webcast. I'll turn it back to either Jim or Mary, and let's wrap it up.
Jim, is there anything else you want to add?
No, I just want to thank Mike and Paul for getting this together, and for Mary for getting us all on board with this, and thank everyone for coming on board.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. This will conclude today's conference call. You may now disconnect your line.